Switch tracks just got added to Theme Park Tycoon 2. We've been waiting so long for this. And there's a lot of other things in this update, so let's get right into it. So the switch tracks can be used on the multi-launch coaster, the extreme launch coaster, the launch spinning coaster, the hydraulic launch coaster, the beyond vertical drop coaster, and the motorcycle coaster. So basically how this works, first we have to build some station first, and then you can go to the advanced editor and make it longer. So over in this track feature page, you obviously have the normal piece, but now we have this new menu down here, which you can do a split switch track and a merge switch track. So we're going to start with this split switch track. So you can see that there's this little white piece here. This is telling you how long your switch track has to be. You cannot build your switch track any shorter than this white piece, or else the train won't be able to work. It'll give you an error. So we got to make it longer than that. We'll start here. We'll just build that. So then it doesn't look like much is happening here except for these floating pillars yet. So what you got to do is you got to go to this piece here, and you got to go to the select next piece, and then it will pop up an A or B. And A is all the way over there, and the B is right here. So if we select the B, then we can make the second part of our switch track, which can come over like this. It also has to be longer than this white piece here to be able to make it. So then we can build that there, and then it builds that switch track for us, as you can see. And then so we can test it out, and the train can go over straight just like it is now. So you can see now, after I've built this little contraption to make it go backwards, it will now go back and forth. You do have to add a regular piece before the switch track from the station, or it does not work. So now you can see that the switch track does move back and forth. So there's another type of switch track called the merge switch track, which we can pick in here. Obviously, make it long like usual. And then we can go back and we can select B. And then we can have this piece come off to the side. And then we have a merge switch track, which will accept cars from both directions going that way. So then you can see we go through the switch track normally, and then it switches over, and then we get back on and go this direction. So it can accept trains from both directions, and that's how the merge switch track works and the split switch track works. And also you can do bankings with the switch track also. And we just blew up there because I didn't give it enough time to switch. So you can see that when you're creating a switch track, if you go into the star while you're creating it, you can change so many things about the switch track. You can change the length, you can change how wide it ends up becoming, the height, which is this white pillar here is actually how high those supports go down. So it's actually very important to get those right touching the ground. And then you can also make these very fast, the switch time. And the switch mode, it's at default, but you can make it a custom mode and have it move after the amount of times that the train goes through. You can also change the switch track style and the regular track style. Most of these are supported. And also, you can change it to boost. So there is so much that you can do with these switch tracks. There's some other things in this update video that we'll get to later, but first, let's go implement these new switch tracks. So now I'm going to be implementing these new switch tracks into Top Thrill 2. So the first thing we have to do is get rid of this station. And we will select switch track merge. We're obviously going to need the length to be longer so it can fit the entire car. Make the height correct so that the pillars will actually touch the ground. Alright, so after messing with it for a little bit, I got it to work. So first, you go over onto the launch, and then it switches over to the straight piece. We turn around, we launch backwards over the straight piece, turn around again at the top, launch through the straight piece again, and then it will switch back to the turn piece, and successfully make it over the top hat to do another run without blowing up. Now that we got switch tracks and drop tracks, now we just need tilt tracks to complete the trio. Wink wink. Now let's go work on Pantheon. So you can now see we are here in my Busch Gardens Williamsburg Park, where I have made my fake switch track that is pretty sad now that we know what we can do. So let's fix this. So now that I have that built, I can just go to this piece, select back, and select B, and now I can build my straight piece like normal. And I can also make it booster, like I would want to. Another thing I've noticed is that when you complete the coaster, it does not automatically kick you out of the editor, which really helps if you're trying to replace track pieces with the correct track type, like I am currently doing. It is so helpful that it doesn't kick you out. So now that I've built this nice switch track, you can see we go through here, go to the launch, and it starts switching right to the straight track. And then you go up the top hat, launch backwards over the hump, up the spike, and straight through again, over the hump, through the boost, and over the top hat. Nice. Now, let's go back to some other things added in this update. So now in Theme Park Tycoon 2, what you can do also is if you go here and you build a booster, you can now go to this star piece down here, and if you uncheck use default booster behavior, then you can change each booster mode individual, like how much boost power it has, whether it's braking or boosting, and you can add a lot of these. This will make the coding so much easier, and especially not just like after a certain number of seconds changing all the boosters and stuff. This will be so much better. So now that we've implemented those new switch tracks, let's look at some of the other cool features that were added. So this Frisbee ride, there's a new skin for it called Inward Seats, where it's like a claw with the seats facing inward. This is found on a lot of rides in the real world. Also now, if you go to your settings and you scroll all the way down, you can share your feedback and your thoughts about Theme Park Tycoon 2 with the developer.